I should do the little counters. So, hey, we're here. I know because we have that option to do it. So
Yep.
it's kind of neat.
Just
So
set it and
just
forget it, like
yeah,
a Ron Popeil.
exactly.
For all you kids out there, never mind. That's not something you should dig into, or
No,
don't
no.
worry about Ron Popeil.
I just I clicked on my Twitter tab so I could tell everybody that we were live, and Aaron Myers has a $200 pickup, which is Conan the Barbarian starring in Savage Tales. It's the first issue.
The very first
Yeah,
volume, one issue volume.
yeah.
That
So
was the Frost Giant's daughter or something like that was the Conan tale? Like
um
the earliest in his chronology tale? Not the first one to
oh
come out, but
I don't know for sure.
I believe in Conan's supposed chronology, that was his first, um, detailed exploit,
Okay.
the Frost Giant's daughter or something like that.
Well, that sounds about right.
Steven just talked about it this week on one of his shows. So
Oh
speaking of
yeah,
which,
you're right.
did I? Yeah, I told him, but if he's not messing with Twitter, he's not. So is anybody on YouTube with us there?
Let's see. Nope, not right now. All right. So
Fine.
fine.
We'll go on without you.
I just sent a tweet out. Oh, now we got two people. So
Okay. Hello, two people.
hello, fellow.
We see you, but we don't see you.
Yes. We just see numbers.
Yes.
It's Terry and oh no, it's Martin.
Geek Vine. Martin! What up?
All right.
Hi, Terry.
We had to wait for an audience before we got started.
If I say it loud enough, you can hear me in the house too.
It's Doug's. Doug's here too. Oh my gosh.
All right.
Got a crowd now.
We got a threefer.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and dive into things.
Let's dive.
So, and let me take
dive.
Take a deep breath. Nervous. Oh my god.
I need my previews talk fix.
Yeah, seriously. It's been a while since we've done this. Whole month. And we've changed it up a little bit, but we'll talk about it in a second.
Yep.
All right.
Terry Ann, you can hear me either in the house or here on the recording. Can you step into the bedroom and grab my previews and bring it to me?
Should we wait?
No. I've got everything I need for what we're doing, but just in case something else comes up.
All right. In 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Comic Addiction. This is episode number 148. This is going to be our previews and reviews episode where we talk about all those nice little solicitations that the comic industry offers us. These will be the books that are coming out roughly November 2022. Some might come a little early, some a little later, just depending on publishers and whatnot. So I'm one of your co-hosts, Chris Barton, and with me as always is Mr. Ed Moore.
Come here.
And he will
Come on. Dude.
His wife would not.
Nope. She ain't having none of that. She
there.
knows the camera's on.
There's a camera there. So
thank you, baby.
But yep.
Yes, I am here tonight, ready to do some previewing. See, this is what she just brought me in, and it's funny. Back in the day, it was this thick, and then previews did all this stuff about wanting to cut down the size of the catalog.
Right.
And now look,
it's back.
They've done all this stuff, and it's like, well, you're right back where you supposedly didn't want to be with size. I don't know what your problem was.
They got that's and what's great, more or less, is that Marvel and DC both have left Diamond, and Diamond is the one that publishes previews.
And so to make up for them, they made it thicker.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that works because there's not 15 or 20 publishers that would make up the number of pages for Marvel or DC. They haven't added that many, so I don't know what they did. But
somebody's buying some ads.
Question: this one that I have in my hands here, wasn't there supposed to be a bad idea story in this?
I thought so. Was there not?
Not in mine.
Oh.
And checking it out here, there's nothing been torn out.
I wonder if it was. See, I was under the impression that it was part of the actual catalog. Like it was like
Oh,
printed on the pages. I could be wrong. I don't know. I didn't.
this catalog or their
Yeah,
order sheet thing?
the catalog itself.
If it is, then it's spread out all over the place because there is not a
Hmm.
condensed story and there's not a bad idea story.
Well, I
Actually, I don't
need.
think bad ideas showed up in this at all.
And they shouldn't because they're not being
Okay, yeah,
distributed
they
by
don't do this.
Diamond. So,
Yeah,
which
they're
I'm really thinking, unless someone can show me, because I've yet to see someone on Twitter show me that they got their whatever bad idea thing through previews. It was just a lie. So
well, I haven't seen anybody say anything about it either.
I
So
don't know why anybody would make that up to
to get
buy more
people to buy
catalogs.
previews, yeah, okay, that's a bad
Sure.
idea.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the only one.
Kind of like people trying to get me to read those. So we are going to change things up with this episode. Previous previews episode, we tried to fit it in sort of our 3 6 pack rule, where we did FOC, upcoming, and then reviews. And it's really tough to go through an entire previews catalog and limit Ed and I to 3 picks. So we decided to forego FOC and forego upcoming releases to just do 6 picks a piece of previews. That's still not enough. I probably had 20 plus books that were I was on my list to pick through. So these are not really my favorite. There was just like these are the first few that I put on there, and I was like, okay, I could talk about these. And then Ed put his in the list, and I was like, okay, good. We didn't duplicate,
Oh, yeah,
so
no, I made it a point to not duplicate because
oh,
once yours were there, I paid attention as I was picking.
good.
Um, for me, it was a little bit easier because I tried to focus just on the number one issues. If I'm going to get somebody into something, I might as well get them into the beginning.
Yep.
Now there
Uh,
are all kinds of other books that are farther in, yes, but oh, here we go.
so Joe is letting us know Bad Idea is printed inside the catalog. That is why it's selling for $20. 20. Yeah, seriously.
But but mine, I didn't
You didn't
see.
see it?
No, not in mine. And
Don't
I
don't know
kind of
what to
would have
say.
noticed that.
You would hope so, because
Yeah.
you're pretty meticulous about
Oh,
previews.
yeah, yeah. I before I get done with it and set it aside, I look at it like 3 times, like over 3 or 4 days.
No.
So, okay.
So those of you who are in the chat and don't know who Grifter R1 is, this is Joe Solis, who does the Wildstorm Addiction podcast and YouTube
Oh,
channel.
excellent.
So old friend of the show.
Yes, indeed.
So go with all of and funny enough, we're going to be talking about November solicitations. There is a ton in the DC section about new Wildstorm stuff, and so Joe is back and Ben is back with the Wildstorm Addiction show. So check them out on YouTube. Go to just look for Wildstorm Addiction. They've got tons of episodes up already. Old stuff, new stuff. It's they got a bunch up there. So Joe's been doing a good job. Nope, just have a similar icon. What? Okay, now I'm confused. What do you mean? Nope, just have a similar icon. Oh no, did I get the name wrong? That's possible.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, it's not Joe. Not Joe. Oh, dang it. I screwed that one up. I apologize. You're right. You do have a very similar icon that he uses. So but anyway, you still should go check Joe's show out. Don't get me wrong. It's a free, that's okay. He's just gonna laugh at me for a little bit. Don't worry. I blinked on Martin's name the other week. So, I saw Geekvine and I went, "Hey, look there!
It's
we all
Geekvine.
We all know who that is, don't we?" It's like, why did I blank on? I'm horrible with names. It's it's a thing. Bad idea. I'll say bad idea is past the t-shirts.
Maybe I haven't looked through the stuff part of the catalog yet.
See, Martin, I've got to be honest with the people. That's the thing. That's what you get here with this show, honesty.
Ah,
And maybe
black
weeks
and
after the
white,
fact.
isn't it? Ah,
Oh, see, there you go.
yeah, that's why I didn't see it because I haven't looked through that section yet. I thought I had looked at everything. Yep, right here it is.
And this is why we have Mike Myers in the chat. So
Thank you,
he can.
Mr. Myers. We appreciate you missing your football game.
Oh,
I
no, he's not going to
understand how
miss it.
big
He's
a thing
just.
that is.
He's listening in one ear
Oh,
and
he's doing both.
got the game in the other. He's
But he
trying to
said he can't
multitask.
do that. Oh, okay, cool beans. Thank you, Mike.
All right, there you go.
Speaking of which, since Mike is on here, is Hyper on here?
Oh, I don't know.
No, Doug S
That-
is here, but not Hyper. Okay. Mike, we have to include you with Hyper Potato in a drawing for the first Wrath of God graphic novel, whatever you want to call that. I guess it counts as a graphic novel. It's square bound. So you were one of two. And so I think what we're going to do is I have a D6 here. If you can see it. See it? Center up, opposite. There it is. Yes, send it over. Well, we have to roll first, Mike. Do you want odds or evens?
There's just that slight delay. So it makes it a
Yeah,
weird
yeah.
show. Do you have to be present to win? If so, Hyper may lose out. So,
Even Steven. Okay, I'm going to roll the D6 and see what comes up. You guys will have to trust me because, of course, if I pick it up, I could turn it to anything. And
well, sure.
there's no other way for me to get it on camera without lifting this laptop and making everybody seasick. But if you listen, here, this is just a test. You can hear it roll. There. Did everybody hear that? Did you hear that, Chris?
Yeah, it sounded like it was an even number.
Okay. Actually, that was a 3. But
Oh,
okay,
sorry.
this is for the even Steven Mr. Myers roll. Let's see here. And it came up 4. 4
Nope.
is the number, and the number is 4.
So Mike Myers
So
wins
Mr.
himself
Myers
a
got it.
copy.
Mike, on Twitter, private message me the address that you want this mailed to, and I'll try to get it out tomorrow or Saturday. And again, for everyone listening, this is what Mike won. This is a Wrath of God. This is a project that Aaron Lepresti has on Indiegogo, I believe. And Mike, if you go and check, I believe the second volume on Indiegogo has just finished or is about to. So you may be able to jump on there and get the second volume now. So
Cool.
all right.
And Grifter is Nick, by the way. I did remember.
Just took a minute.
Just took a minute.
You had to go through the files and
there's
sort
so
through
many
and-
people.
Yeah. Yep.
So many. So all right. So enough of that. Congratulations, Mike, for winning that. We will have additional contests down the road. I felt the need to sort of bribe a lot of people to subscribe to us. So I might do a 100 subscriber giveaway. Hadn't figured that one out yet if I want to or not. I definitely will do a 1,000 one whenever we get to that.
woof.
But that'll be a nice one. So all right, so let's go ahead and jump into previews.
All right.
So we got a lot going on. So again, we're doing 6 issues, 6 picks apiece. So I'll let you go ahead and take it away with this image coming soon.
Well, now see, I went to Westfield Comics website, and you can select and the most recent catalog, and then it lists everything, and then you just type the book in, and it'll call up the book. The cover is on there, so it's a okay. First of all, Frank Miller presents Frank Miller's Ronin Book 2. Now, the first Ronin was DC. No, Dark Horse.
No, it was DC.
Was it DC? Okay, in the middle to late 80s, I think.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's been a while. Much lauded for those of you that are long enough in the tooth to remember that. Doesn't get spoken of too much here lately, though, to be honest with you. I guess because really Frank Miller hasn't been much in anybody's mouth for a while either. Not since what? Probably not since the Sin City movies. So,
Yeah.
but this is a follow up, and there we go. There's the
Yep.
cover.
Got it.
And what caught me was a couple things. First of all, Frank Miller, Ronin. I remember the first volume, but also female samurai child, very lone wolf and cub vibes, only with a female protagonist. So, if he and I know that Frank Miller was a huge fan of that because even before Frank Miller was a thing, back when Frank Miller was a thing on Daredevil, I think,
Mhm.
um, he did the covers for the first English um, presentation of Lone Wolf and Cub, which was before the little boxy books that Dark Horse put out.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. Yeah.
he
Mhm.
did covers for Eclipse Comics, I think. Eclipse had, I believe it was Eclipse, secured the rights, and they did like 40 issues of 25 to 35 pages each, which didn't even remotely come close to covering the story.
Right.
And they ended it, I think, because they ran into that black and white death wall that happened there
Mhm.
in the late 80s. But I think all of the covers for that Frank Miller did. So
Cool.
just as a little whatever, info for you guys out there. But yes, very much Lone Wolf and Cubby. Ronin tells us here that he returns to one of his most critically praised and influential bodies of work. Six-part miniseries follows the original work and takes Casey and her newborn son across the ravaged landscape of America. Miller did the layouts, art by Philip Tan. Oh my goodness, there we go. And Daniel Enriques captures all the energy and excitement of the original series, taking the characters and world into a direction all its own, not to be missed. And this is from his own imprint, Frank
Yeah.
Miller Presents.
Yep. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I've got to go back now and because I haven't read that original in good lord,
Probably a
it's been a
while.
long
Yeah.
time. Yeah, since it's probably been since the '90s since I read it. So I need to pick up that trade or
Um,
hardcover.
Martin, I get my books from Westfield Comics. They have a shipment on the way to me, and the ash can is supposed to be in that shipment. So if you go to Lone Star Comics and look, they may well have some of those ash cans up if they got any extras.
Oh, sweet.
All right, Chris, what's your pick, dog?
All right. So my first pick is Hell to Pay. This is being published through Image. This is Charles Soule and Will Sliney with Dave Johnson covers. So that's some good stuff. It's the Shrouded College gives you magic, but will incur a debt. Until it's paid, you belong to them. Married couple Mia and Sebastian Stone took that deal, and now they have to work for the college, or have been working for the college ever since, using their new ability to track down 666 cursed coins, the Karaka, or the Devil's Dollar. Only a few remain. The stones are almost free, but the devil's in the details. Hellboy meets Indiana Jones. And that right there is what
That's not
grabbed
bad.
me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good.
That little bit grabbed me. I was like, yes. And it's Charles Soule, and I really enjoyed, his stuff. Whenever he reached, kind of does creator own stuff. His Star Wars stuff is pretty good too, but I really enjoy his creator own stuff. Uh, Will Sliney, the only stuff I've really seen him do was back when the Spider-Man 2099 series had an ongoing series. I remember him doing a lot of that, but I haven't seen him do too much just because I'm just not paying attention. But I do enjoy his art. I mean, I'll be
That would
honest
do
with you,
it.
I'm just
Yeah.
not paying attention. Um, but yeah, that sort of tagline, Hellboy meets Indiana Jones, two properties I really enjoy. The concept sounds kind of interesting. It's a new series, so we'll give it a shot and see what it's like. I mean, if you read the first issue and it's crap, then you're only out $4, no big deal. And I'm sure all of us are buying our stuff through somebody who's giving us some kind of discount, so it's not like we're really out $4. But either way, I think it's something to check out. So
Um, Geek Vine, I apologize for throwing out the real name there. I need to stick with that street name just to keep everybody safe, man. My bad. Yeah, Lone Star Comics, they must gotten into the hype or something for $40 for an ash can that
Yeah,
just came out. What, 2 weeks ago or this week? 2 weeks ago.
that's a bit much.
Either way, yeah, that's like dog. Sorry, I gave you the bum steer there. That's pretty bad. All right, my next pick, Gangster Ass Barista.
This was
That's
hilarious.
a classic name. I mean, come on. This is coming out of Black Mass Studios, written by Pat Shand and art by Renzo Rodriguez with looks like a couple or
Yeah,
well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if you count the version of the A cover here. So we're told it is a coffee-fueled crime comedy. Trinity used to live a life of crime, but now she's left behind her old life and works at a coffee shop. If only we all could do that, you know? That's
it's all.
yes.
It's all I want.
Oh man. Unfortunately, making ends meet isn't easy to do with a minimum wage job. Well, unless it's like the 15 to $20 an hour, which are minimum wage jobs getting to be now. So, not to mention the fact that customers are beginning to get on Trinity's nerves, and it's getting harder and harder to not let her old tendencies take control. When Trinity's past comes calling, it's like the famous quote, just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. And you get a bonus comic in each issue. And this is of an unknown number of issues. I don't see it indicated. It is 36 pages, full color, mature themes.
Cool.
Uh, yeah, doesn't tell us anything. What is an ash can? Chris, you want to do that?
Sure. An ash can, it really kind of depends on the publisher and who's putting it out, but usually they are smaller, sort of digest size comics that are, anywhere from 4 to 6, 8, 10 pages. Just that the page count really depends on the publisher, but it's just a small sort of preview copy of what you're either going to get. It might just have preview art, or it may actually be the first few pages of the first issue or something along those lines. Basically, they're sent out to get to sort of drum up
It's right.
excitement, for
It's
the
a
book.
marketing
Yeah,
kind of thing. Yeah.
and back in the 70s and 80s, I know that was really what they were used. Just send them out because they couldn't send preview images. There's no email or anything, so they'd send these with preview, with your orders and stuff like that. But now, publishers use them as gimmicks and stuff like that to get people interested in the book, and then secondary, third market, likes to jack up the prices on them.
Back in the day, Image jumped on that like nobody's business.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I've got
When
quite a few of those.
Yeah, with the convention season and
Yep.
in-store signings, yeah, I thought I remembered it being
I
somewhere
did too.
first.
As soon as you started talking about it, I was like,
It
"This
was a
sounds
Kickstarter
familiar."
first, okay.
Yep.
Well, if I'm gonna buy it here, I guess I better look. I don't think I got it on Kickstarter. I think I
And
passed
Pat
on it for
Shan
some
does a
reason.
lot of
So,
Kickstarter stuff, so I see him
but
quite
yeah,
often.
there's like Rob Liefeld for his first mm, 3 or 4 books, I think, for Image. There are ash cans out
Yeah.
there if you look. Now there weren't. You didn't know about it that much at the time unless you were somewhere he was, because
Yeah.
that's always where they showed up as give outs.
Yeah.
So if you didn't make it to conventions or store signings, you didn't find out about these early Liefeld Image ash cans until years later when they started popping up on the market.
Right.
So
Well, it's like for me, like the Cyberforce stuff. I never knew that stuff existed until 10 years after it ended
yeah,
up
I
coming out.
know. It's like,
So,
wow.
and I was like, there's like 4 or 5 copies of those, and they're, some of them are sort of, like handmade, so they're not or at least they were back then. They're not the slick covers and stuff like that. They're, cardboard,
Yeah,
the construction
rough
paper
stock
kind
and
of,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So,
Almost
uh,
like the testing, like before they market trading collectible card games, they
yeah,
used to give out just text cards, with no
yeah.
pictures or anything to just test play.
Hmm.
The ash cans are kind of like that, only for a comic book, I think.
Yep.
Usually
But the ash can for Frank
is
Miller
full
is
size and
full
has a good
size.
chunk of the story.
Oh
Okay.
wow, nice.
Well,
So it's almost
hopefully
like getting the
it's
first issue.
supposed to be in my order. Hopefully I got one.
Cool.
Don't spoil it. La 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 la. No, I'm
The
kidding.
cover here, whoever did the cover for this, is this Connor Hughes? That is, if that's who it is, whoever it is, that's a sweet looking cover. I mean, just the line work and everything. It reminds me a lot of Cheat Galloway. I think that's what his name is. His art,
See if I can
but
get it back. I closed the window. I thought it
but
tells
it
me
says,
down
yeah, it
here.
says Rising Stars. Connor
No,
Hughes, Alicia Ramboli.
this is Connor Hughes and Finn Cram on mine here for cover artist.
Yeah, so maybe that's who it is. But either way, it's a good looking cover.
And they've got there's a virgin variant of that and a
Mhm.
black and white variant that is has just some funky reds on it here and there, not much of anything. So
Cool.
that image is on 3 covers. They liked it so much. Yeah,
Yeah, and saying Pat Shan is awesome.
the back
His
cat,
overall
yeah.
offering, yep. And Cheeky is also awesome. Yep, for sure. Follow him on Instagram. Tons of good stuff. All right, so my next book is no surprise from Boom Studios. It's Once Upon a Time at the End of the World #1. I when I first heard about this, I could have sworn that they were playing a game with who's the band? Oh crap, totally lost who the band was. Uh, Fallout Boys, because they like to come up with the longest titles ever for
Hmm.
song names. So I was like, good lord. But this is a mini series. This is the first of 3, and basically 3 arcs. So, but this is the first of the first arc, written by Jason Aaron, art by Alexandre uh, Teffin,
Alexandra
Teffinky.
Tefenki.
Yeah.
Tefenki.
And then Mike Del Mundo doing the cover art here that you see. But each story arc will have, I forgot how many issues there are. Let's see. It doesn't say how many issues, but it does say it's a trilogy. Each issue flowing with 30 pages, but each of the arcs are going to be done by a different artist.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't this the
Yeah.
book that's got 3 arcs? And yeah,
Yep.
so
So
each arc
hopefully that
probably will be
means they'll
4 to
come.
6.
Yeah, they'll probably come pretty quick. So this
Mm.
might be a year's worth of story or whatever. So yeah, in this epic post-apocalyptic tale, Maceo and Mez have never met anyone like each other, and they'll need all the help they can get to survive a planet ravaged by environmental catastrophe. This epic trilogy, each issue overflowing with 30 story pages, spans a lifetime as philosophical differences tear at the threads of holding Maceo and Mez together. So, Boom has been, and I know I harp on Boom. I apologize,
No, you don't.
but but the stuff that they have in this previews and the stuff that I've seen for that's coming out with the December previews. It's a brain thing. I don't have one, so they're coming out with some really, really great new series. So
Yeah.
I've really been enjoying checking out the stuff
This
that they've got coming up.
this quarter, and I believe the first quarter of 2023, there's like 5 brand new books that I'm like, get it, get it,
Yep.
get it, get it. Yeah.
hmm It's crazy. Crazy. It's good
Mm.
stuff. Oh, your next
This
book is
has
awesome.
8 variants scheduled too, from what Westfield says.
Oh, let's see if preview actually shows them all. Let's see.
I've got
Uh,
5 here, but 2 of them,
they
like
show only 4 of them.
the
So,
the G is a 1 in 100, and
oh yeah, they're not going to show those. Those are the
the H
ratios.
is
Yeah.
a 1 in 200 foil. Well, it's a foil frizzen. Is one of the other
Jeez.
4 covers a frizzen?
Hold on. Let me go back to that.
Because the 1 in 100 is a frizzen also. So
Whoops.
the 100 is a frizzen, and then I bet the 200 is that same in foil.
Yep. And now I'm gonna have to go back and find it again because
The dude standing there is Yoon. The lean-to is Tefenki. The boat is Del Mundo. So no, I don't see frizzen at all.
yeah, you're right. Mhm.
So, all right. So as we play variant roulette, we will move on. Now, see, this is funny because Westfield, when they posted their stuff, they didn't have an image of that cover. I've seen it on Twitter, but you had it there on the
Yep.
actual previews site. So next up for me is G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. Now, number 300. It's funny because I was just had we already started recording? I think when I said that I try not to pick anything that's not a first issue so that
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
get somebody into something well, obviously if you buy this, you'll absolutely want to get the other 299 books plus the year books plus the, European GI Joe European missions and
Yep.
this is truly as far as we know, the end of an era right here. It is the
Hmm.
final issue of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero at IDW, the final issue of this volume, quote unquote, of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. This is the last Larry Hama written, supposedly, wink, wink, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero issue. So, I mean, a lot of this, and for also those of us that are longer in tooth, I remember grabbing the first Marvel issue of this off the spinner rack.
Yep.
I could not wait to get home to open it because it looked so freaking awesome in the store.
Well, no, my first issue was issue 23. It was the one with
Oh,
Stalker in the woods, him looking with the
no,
pants.
baby. Mine was the
Yeah.
first one with that card stock
Mhm.
cover. And so this supposedly ties up every thread that there has been left untied in uh, what is that, 85, almost 40?
Do we know who killed the Hard Master? Oh, sorry.
Or
We already
Billy.
know who that is.
Yeah. But the cover here, Chris is showing the cool thing about it is this is supposed to be every Joe and every Cobra character that has been in any of the 300 issues right there.
I wonder how long that took.
So that is like George Perezian, if you will. That is a poster. Give me that
I
in a
wanna know how
poster, man.
big this actually is in, like, real life, like, the
Oh,
actual drawing is.
yeah, that he drew it on.
I mean,
Yeah,
because obviously, there's not a ton of detail on the
uh,
small, but there's
there's
definitely
enough
facial features and stuff like that, so, I mean,
colors and whatever
yeah.
apparatus they have. I mean, you can discern most everybody there.
Oh,
That
I don't wanna
what a
attempt that. That'll
what
hurt
a
my
cover,
brain.
man.
That
That is
is
awesome.
so good.
So and I allude to the fact that Larry Hama himself has even said that, well, this could be the end of my GI Joe journey. So I suspect he'll have a part in whoever has it, which rumor is that it is what's her face over at Image.
Well, that narrowed
sh-
it down.
Not Shadowline, but
Well, it's Skybound.
Skybound. Yeah,
Yeah,
the other S.
yeah,
So I suspect, even if he's not writing it, maybe he'll be uh, producer, showrunner, whatever
sure.
the
Yeah.
equivalent is over there. If not writing it, I mean, he could just pick up and start writing it over there. Kirkman, yeah, he's so. But this is it, guys. This is the
Yeah.
end of 35 plus years of GI Joe: A Real American Hero. Kind of sad, kind of not. I mean, I'm sure there are people reading it that's like, oh, finally. You know, Not
Alright,
me.
so who's your favorite Joe?
Um, Probably. I was going to say Spirit. Is that his name, or
Oh,
was that the
yeah,
name
the
of
Spirit,
his
yeah.
hawk? Okay,
Yep.
yeah, I liked Spirit.
Alright, favorite Cobra?
Um, Probably Firefly.
Ooh,
Yeah, that's
that's
but
that's a
both of those are some old school stuff there.
that's a good
Um,
call.
Back when I was in junior high, which is when this came out, the first 3.5-inch GI Joe figure that I bought was Breaker
Oh, yeah.
because it was the only one on the shelf when I went to buy one. All the others
Yeah.
had sold out.
So Beachhead's my favorite Joe.
Beachhead, okay,
Yeah, and Firefly is my favorite
okay,
Cobra.
yep,
So, yeah, we were big at the Parton household. We were big GI Joe fans, loved all the stuff. My parents, apparently we didn't have a lot of money back then, and I didn't realize that. But regardless, Hyper's in the Ed's favorite Joe is Cover Girl by Liz.
Oh
So,
yeah, ha
yes.
ha
So,
ha.
uh, but but my parents did a really good job of feeding my GI Joe fix. I had a ton of the vehicles and
Oh
action figures, stuff
yeah.
like that. But for some reason, they would never get me the aircraft carrier. I could never get it. I don't understand why. The 10 or 12 foot long,
Yeah, I was going to say
big.
you,
It
you
wouldn't
you
even
need
fit in
to
my room.
tweet that to yard sale artist and see what he says. That's kind of a yeah,
I've
okay.
still to this day not seen the actual seen that in person. I've
No,
seen
I've never
tons of
seen it in
photos,
person
but
either.
yeah. So, but yeah. Oh, it's so good, so good. Yeah, I definitely will be picking this up. I meant to. Now I'm about 3 weeks behind picking up my comics anyway, but my intent was to read this story arc and just yeah, because I've Joe's one of those books that I pick it up every so often just to sort of check in.
Mhm.
And I feel like this is one of those arcs that
Oh yeah,
you definitely have to check
yeah.
into
You got to
and
check
read
in.
to the end. So all right, so my next pick is a new Brian Michael Bendis book over at Dark Horse because that's where he lives now, and it is called The Ones. It's a 4 issue miniseries, art by Jacob Egger. From award-winning writer Michael Bendis, or Brian Michael Bendis, comes the next big, awesome
Uh,
super
uh,
team to
Chris,
what?
you need to go pay somebody a visit because he says he has the flag in the back
Oh,
shed.
Nick! Oh, shut up!
Oh, you got to go and take pictures of it and everything, man. You can see it in person. You know somebody that has one.
Okay, we're gonna be DMing you off show here. Afterwards, I need to come check. I need to
Stand
figure out
next to it and get somebody to take
where
your picture.
exactly are you, East Coast or West Coast? Just I don't know, curiosity. No real
Oh
reason.
yeah, okay.
uh, that's, dang it, no, that's gonna be on my brain.
Yep.
So every single person, basically, what this book is all of these different cultures, have stories you've heard. Whoops, sorry, as I knocked my microphone. You heard the one. Everybody's like, oh my god, my head. The one, so like Neo is the one or whatever.
Mhm.
Apparently none of them were the one.
There is
and
no
s-
spoon.
and so every single person in mythology was told that they were the one, and when they're brought, this is basically a team of folks who were the one. So it's they say think Good Omens meets Ghostbusters meets The Atom Project meets Goonies meets Everything Everywhere All at Once meets anything else that you like. Okay, well, I mean, and all of that is true because they all have like the one, so
Okay,
it's
somebody educate me on Atom Project.
Atom Project is Ryan Reynolds' Netflix movie that has oh goodness, I forgot. Has Mark Ruffalo in it. But basically, he's a time traveler, and or his dad, who is played by Mark Ruffalo, discovers time travel, and something obviously happens. Ryan Reynolds' character comes back, comes to the past, finds himself as a like a 12-year-old kid, and then they go back in the past even further to go find his dad when he's finally discovered time travel. So so mayhem
Wow.
ensues and all this.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's a neat movie. I liked it. It's a pretty neat movie. It's definitely a popcorn flick. I mean, there's I think oh goodness, what's her name? Oh goodness, Zoe. No. Who plays Gamora in Guardians of the Galaxy? Um, she's in it too.
Okay. I know,
Oh,
but the name's
I
not coming to
can't
me.
believe I'm blanking on her name. This is just
Saldana,
proof. Yeah, so it's just proof I just blank on names.
Zoe Saldana.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
Jennifer Garner's in it too. Cool.
yeah, she plays his mom.
Okay.
So, and anything Jennifer Garner's in, I'm gonna watch regardless.
Well,
So it
yeah. I
doesn't matter.
mean,
So it's just a thing.
that's a good place to start right there.
So, yep.
Well, why did
So,
you see that? Well, because Jennifer Garner was in it.
yeah, and yeah, and everyone should be well aware of that. So, So this sounds like an interesting book.
Yes.
The concept's kind of neat. And it's Bendis. I mean, and definitely Bendis has been sort of hit or miss for like the last 10 years for me. I didn't enjoy most of his DC work. The his Legion of Superheroes was interesting. But yeah, it's just been sort of hit or miss for me. So, but I do like his creator owned stuff, and it's there are opportunities for him to really sort of not just flex what he can do, but really gives him that opportunity to really go anywhere he wants to go. And I think that's what he needs. I think he just needs to be sort of unleashed and allowed to just move however he feels to move across the room. So it's again, he's got a lot of these miniseries over at Dark Horse that'll be starting up or have already started up. So it's just I think it's worthwhile checking out.
And for those of you that are old school Brian Bendis fans, if you just hang on, probably everything that he personally owns will be reprinted if it's not in print from Dark
For
Horse now.
for
So
sure. And we talked about
that's,
powers last episode.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of what he does. So
Yep.
you can wait for all of the Dark Horse editions of
Yes.
whichever of his properties you want to get.
Now I'm very excited about this next pick you got.
Oh man, and it was either this or it was first I had listed the 100-page one shot that they have that is
Yeah.
related to this, but I'm
Mhm.
like, no, I want the first issue of the Justice Society of America #1 DC Comics from Jeff Johns. Mikhail Janin is the artist and the cover artist for this cover, and there are one, two, three, four variants. It looks like. So the solicit. Who cares what the solicit says? It
It's
really doesn't matter.
Justice Society.
It's the Justice Society of America back being printed again.
Yep.
The first comic book superhero group ever, and arguably the best. So finally, DC has come around after teasing and playing and whatever else they
Seriously.
wanted to do. Um, and now that the whole DC universe is restarting yet again, um, seems like I read that that's what they're doing. So I'm like, oh, so it's like 52 squared
I
or
don't know.
52 cubed, or yeah. So doesn't matter what the rest of the DC world is doing. Justice Society is back, and I
Yep.
will be there for it.
I am and I purposely didn't put this on my part of the list because I had a feeling that you were gonna
Oh,
pick it.
oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, I had a feeling, and so but when I first read previews and saw that Jeff Johns was gonna be doing this book, but
Mhm,
not only he's doing this book, but he's doing a couple other ones that are sort of launching this new golden age thing,
mhm.
and so all of it's in continuity, it's all part of the DCU. So I've not been a big DC reader lately, and I know some folks in our chat are. Nothing, not that I feel it's anything wrong. It just wasn't resonating with me, and yeah, that's just me. That's just between me and DC. So this stuff has me very, very
Yes,
excited.
yes,
And
yes, yes.
Mike, just you're getting ahead of me here, but
Sylvester
yes,
Batman. Yep.
he has
But
not done
now,
DC since Ghosts, House of Mystery, and House of Secrets. Oh,
now
okay.
he's not drawing the Batman, is he?
Oh, shut your mouth. Yes, he is. It's already
I thought
drawn.
he's just. I thought he was just doing like layouts or something like that. He's
He
actually
drew
doing
it.
full art. Okay,
He's already
okay.
done it. 7
Maybe I'm
issues are
thinking of
in the
some other
can.
book or something. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So
I enjoyed the previous John's volume of Justice Society as well.
same. Yeah.
Had some quibbles with some of the characters that came on later. I
Yeah.
didn't, but overall, and his writing, yeah, dug it muchly.
Yep. For
And
sure.
needless to say, I am kind of a Doctor Fate fan, so I'm
And
hoping
there's
that,
his helmet on the ground where it belongs. Oh, sorry.
yeah, without his body,
Yeah.
yeah.
What
So
is
I'm
going on
hoping he's
there?
in it. We'll have to wait and see.
Yep. It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. My next pick is Batman and Joker Deadly Duo, number 1 of 7. There is 642,000 covers, and then there's some store variants.
Cool beans.
So, if you think that's kidding,
Yeah,
uh,
the female slash or crash or yeah, whatever the name of that. Yeah, okay, you're right, Michael. Thank you.
oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I do remember that now.
Which
Uh,
almost made my list, but didn't quite Q high enough. So
So yeah, when you pick 20 books and you can only put 6.
6, yeah, it's like, okay, well,
So this was teased years ago at San Diego Con. And so finally it sounds like Mark went home and just basically wrote a 7-issue miniseries and then started drawing it immediately. And it's taken all of these years to get, which is fine. I'm If I have a favorite artist I have at the very, very top, it's Silvestri. He is the one that was drawing Uncanny X-Men when I first started reading Uncanny X-Men. And so he has always been my artist. I'm a giant Cyberforce fan. Obviously that is his baby. He drew it and everything. So it's just Silvestri is just my guy. So when I heard that he was going to be doing that way back then, I was like, cool. And then it never happened. And I was like, oh well, it's just one of those things. And then here recently they were like, oh no, 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 no,
Image United.
that was not his fault. That
Oh,
was
okay.
Todd McFarlane's, who has admitted as much.
Okay.
So but yeah, so I'm super excited. This basically the series is the Joker will go to any lengths to get Harley Quinn back after she is abducted by a strange culprit, but who so Joker is teaming up with Batman to go rescue Harley Quinn. Sure, makes total sense to me.
Yeah, don't work well together.
Yeah, so it is going to be. I really feel like this is just going to be a crazy book. I don't need it to be anything other than high, just high energy action, and I really feel like Silvestri will give us that. So,
Oh, absolutely.
and apparently Mike Myers memorizes previews. Yes, you do. You have to. That ain't no doubt. So yes, definitely. And it comes out November 1st. That is my birthday. I just
Oh, well, there we
all
go.
the signs are pointing
It,
to this being
si-
the best book ever.
yeah, signs and portents say.
So Watchmen, what is that? I don't understand. It's going to be
Mm,
this book. This is number 1 now.
all
So
right.
do not quote me on that.
All right, my next pick, Tiger Division #1 from Marvel Comics. This is written by Emily Kim with art by Kreese Lee, both cover and interior. A cover, at least. 2, 4, 6, 8 variants listed that I see. So, for me, Tiger Division is the one thing that was essentially brand new from Marvel in the last, I don't know, 10 to 15 years
Hmm.
that interested me.
Wow.
So many
Wow.
other characters that they have come up just fell flat, but there was just something about several of the uh, Korean characters, particularly those that came up. When did they come up? During Civil Wars 2, I think, is when they started popping up.
Oh,
Um,
I'm not sure. Yeah.
and a couple of them are in here, White Fox and Luna Snow. There's probably 2 or 3 others that I really have enjoyed. These characters sound very interesting for this also. We have, let's see, we have Tegeki, a powerhouse with a heart of gold, Lady Bright, a card-wielding sorceress, Mr. Enigma, a street-brawling demigod, the General, a living totem, and Gunner 2, an android with an attitude. So I don't believe in any of their books that I have seen any of those characters. So I believe they're all brand new. White Fox and Luna Snow are also in it. White Fox is South Korea's Nick Fury.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
You need to go back and get the Black Cat annual. That's their first appearance. That
these
came out.
characters,
Yeah,
or
came out last year. Yeah.
all of these characters. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Okay,
Well,
thank
the
you.
team Tiger Division, that was their first appearance. I don't know
Well,
when the actual individual characters
yeah, I
first
was going
appeared,
to
but I
say I
know
don't think
the
that Tiger
team
Division.
themselves first appeared there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I have read that. I don't believe any of these, except for White Fox and Luna Snow, was there.
Okay.
There was Swordmaster. He was in it, who he is now the current
Iron
Iron
Fist,
Fist.
yeah.
There was a young lady, Aqualad equivalent, Aquaman equivalent.
Mhm.
Um, there was the South Korean lady that could control winds. um, maybe a couple others, but yeah, I did read that, and these first 5, I don't recall them being in there, so
Okay, cool.
maybe they were under agents, and now they have moved up to being full-time or something like that, but yeah, Tiger Division just I like the settings, because
Hmm.
it's in the Far East, and it's just something very different for Marvel from what they're doing with, 98% of the characters here in North America, and I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
everything together I just really enjoyed.
I enjoyed the Silk miniseries that Emily Kim did, so I didn't realize that was her until I just saw that. That was pretty good. So this will be. I feel like this should be just as good.
You have a good evening too, Mike. Enjoy your football game, dog, and your
And
dinner,
go Chargers! I
perhaps.
mean Chiefs. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
go check. Yeah.
So, so my next book is oh, this is a personal favorite because I'm a longtime Tarzan fan. But this is Lord of the Jungle #1 from Dynamites, written by Dan Jurgens, art by Benito Gallego, and this particular cover is by Gary Frank. So at long last, Lord of the Jungle return. Dynamite's had the property for a while.
For
I
a
don't know
while.
if they've re-signed it or a while because they did publish one or two miniseries. Well, I'll say miniseries. They're probably like 8 to 10 issues. I forget how many issues, but they haven't published anything in a while. So, but at long last, Lord of the Jungle returns to comics. One of the most famous and recognizable characters in the history of fiction is back, starting with an adventure that returns us to the days before his birth. So, no better way to tell a story than not include the character.
Right. To tell the story before that character existed.
So, but either way, it's Dan Jurgens, which is great. I'm a big fan of Dan Jurgens. Not entirely sure. So Benito Gallego is the newspaper artist for Tarzan. Oh, this will be sweet then. So that I'm looking forward to. But yeah, it's Dynamite book, so there's probably a gazillion covers to go along with this, which is I don't know. I'm sure one of us or you'll find one cover that you'll enjoy. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to this one because again, big Tarzan fan, so just enjoy the concept.
And just to throw out there how efficient Mr. Myers is, he just messaged me his mailing address.
Nice.
So now, if everything doesn't get out on time,
He's
it's my fault.
he's checking all the boxes off
There you go.
before he goes off to the next thing.
Yep. All right. My final pick for this previews comes from TKO Studios, written by Garth Ennis with art by Steve Epting, and the only cover, I believe, the A
Yeah,
cover,
yeah.
Mr. Steve Epting. This is a graphic novel size, $16. It is the story of Sarah, who is a female Russian sniper, and we catch up with her during the winter of 1942 on the Eastern Front as she is blowing the frickin' heads off of Nazis, which, I mean, Now, I enjoyed this book so much that back when TKO put it out, this was one of their first 6
Yep.
graphic novels that they put out. I snatched it up and bought it, and it is excellent.
Now, does TKO still do the option of getting the 6 issues or the graphic novel or the trade, I
Um,
guess?
yeah, let's see. The last bunch of books I got, they had some mini books. Um, they had novels, prose, and they
Mm,
had the option to get the trade or a box of the individual issues.
right. Yeah.
They also had, I think, the option when they first started of just the bare individual issues, not in a collector's box. So
Okay.
you could get
Gotcha.
the 6 individual, the trade, or the collector's box of the 6 individuals.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually, full disclosure, I have bought every graphic novel that TKO has put out. I have 2 that I haven't read out of this most recent batch. I
Mhm.
saw when I went and got this off the shelf, but all their others I have read, and so far this is probably tied for my favorite of what I
Cool.
have read from them.
It's Garth Ennis, man.
And I had heard, I thought somewhere along the way that Garth Ennis was doing a sequel to this.
Oh, and see, that's what I was wondering if that's what this was.
I
But
don't,
but I
no,
guess this is them finally going through previews.
yes, because I don't believe they ever have.
No, it's
So,
always been through their website. Yeah.
yeah,
Cool. Well, that's
but
good that
yeah,
they're going through, I guess, going through previews, giving stores an opportunity to get this out in front of more people.
this is just, for me, at the time this came out, and let me look and see when this first one came out. This was in 2018.
Mhm.
Um, that solidified for me that Garth Ennis is our generation's war writer.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Not that there was much question to it, from back in the, what was it, 606 days, I think, from Avatar,
Mhm.
was the first real Garth Ennis war book that I read. But yeah, this is really, it just it hit me at a good time and a good place, and I really enjoyed it, and I think somebody out there listening probably will too if you bite the bullet on $16. I think
Yep.
you'll find it worth it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so my last book is another Dynamite book. I filled a lot of my picks with Dynamites. This is Vampirella versus Red Sonja, number one. Of course, this will have 1,000 covers. This particular one is the Lucio Perillo, who has been doing uh, a ton of work at Dynamite.
Mhm.
Lots and lots of cover art. Dan Abnett is the writer, and Alessandro Ronaldi is the artist on this particular one. Um, and so it says it's a monumental clash of titans that had to happen from master storyteller Dan Abnett. Both Vampirella and Red Sonja were recruited by the Project, a cosmic collection of superheroes sworn to protect the all known universes, but Vampirella is now considered a murderous criminal because somebody had to be the bad guy. And of course, just make Vampirella because she's always seen as the bad guy anyway.
Yep.
She's capable of defeating any hero. Unfortunately for her, Red Sonja is no hero. The universe spanning action packed battle royal from start to finish. So, um, it's one of those things. Both of these characters I've said are just sort of personal favorites of mine. I've been reading probably 90% of what Dynamite has done with these characters since they got the properties. And so it's their storytelling, especially when they put the two of them, have just been sort of fun and entertaining. It is a little silly at times, but I think that's kind of sort of the charm of it too, is that it doesn't take itself too seriously. And so so it kind of sort of remains in that sort of fun zone area. Now, if you're reading Vampirella that Christopher Priest is writing, that takes itself pretty seriously and is pretty good because of it. But this is probably one of those stories that's going to be have a little humor in it. That's going to be, I don't think slapstick, but I think it's just going to have that nice tone to it. So yep, I'm looking forward to this one.
And for only $60, you can have the 1 in 30 Linsner
Oh,
Virgin variant.
jeez, no.
Yes. And there is a 1 in 40 J. Lee Virgin and a, what is this? D cover that is the Lee with masthead. So there we go.
Jeez.
And
Yeah,
that's
so
why
I
you
just
wanted Lord of the Jungle and this book, so that you can choose from 378 different covers
yeah,
between the two
exactly.
and get whatever you want. Yeah, so
You can, and you too can have it all
that's it.
for the low, low price of. All right, so that's all of our picks. Again, there's probably a dozen more we could have
Oh man, yeah.
selected easily. But yeah, so that's our picks for the November 22nd solicitation. So now we're going to jump into some reviews of some stuff we have been reading recently. And so, sir, I will hand it off to you to get us started.
All right. First up is issue 1 of Shock Shop, coming to us from Dark Horse Comics by way of Mr. Cullen Bunn. Art by Danny Luckert. Letters by Nate Picos of Blambot,
Mm-hmm.
with 3 covers. That's one story. This is a genuine flip book. has 2 stories in it. This story will be scripted by Cullen Bunn as well, art by Layla Lees, Nick Picos of Blambot on letters again, and 1, 2, 3, probably the same 3 covers listed. So this is a concept that has finally this should have happened years ago. Okay. This is a horror book with a host, and the host is named, this is an awesome name, Cullen, thank you, Desdemona Nimue Moreau. I'm not sure there are any other darknesses that you can include that's not included in there, you know. When I heard the name Desdemona, the first thing that came to mind was the female gargoyle, but
Oh,
um,
yeah.
yeah, which is on its way back as in this
Yes, it
coming
is.
December's previews, I believe.
Yep.
Gargoyles from Disney. I don't think that's
Dynamite.
who's doing it, but I think that's where it originally was. Disney.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Disney was that's their property, but Dynamite's the one that's publishing it,
Yeah,
yeah.
Dynamite. Okay. So she is the hostess, and she is uniquely designed. She has a top hat. She has a Barker's coat for you carnival fans, much like I'm sorry, right here on this cover, and you'll notice that one of her hands is skeletal and the
Mhm.
other is fleshy. So that's kind of cool. And this actually is my cover because Cullen Bunn's signature is right there in the middle of it. I got the special pay way too much Cullen Bunn exclusive copy of
Oh,
this.
but it's so worth it.
Okay, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. I don't yeah. Okay, so the two store. Oh, and he's got a spinner rack. Let's see, right here.
Oh.
There's a spinner rack, and on it is, among others, Harrow County
It's gonna be all of
and,
his Dark Horse stuff.
um, nah, that's the only one. Blood Shriek Fest, Death Follows, Regression. Is that a book? Regression? Sounds familiar.
Sounds familiar.
Monsters, Madmen, and Maniacs, Manor Black, and maybe Transgression, something like that. So this first story, and both of these stories are continued in the next issue. I don't know if every story will be continued throughout the run of the book, back and forth, but these two are both continued at least in the next issue. The first one involves a get away from everything, let's go camping group of friends. I think there's 8, and so I believe that means there's 4 couples because I saw at least 3 couples. Um, they're all opposing gender couples, if that's how you're supposed to say that. I don't what male female couples. Um, and we find that one couple in particular is the focus of everyone else. It was kind of a communal idea to get into this way back situation in the woods to give this couple a chance to heal over some issues that the two of them have incurred. And you see that some of the people take one side, some of the people take the other side of this couple in conflict. Some people just want the couple itself to heal, so they don't necessarily have a side. They retire for the evening, and one gentleman gets up to relieve himself, as is oft the cause of stories like this. And he is the first to encounter a interesting creature that he thinks is one of the females in the group, but it's not. I don't know if it is the female changed or if it is a creature in disguise. You don't really know yet. And it basically leaves him a shriveled husk. Second story, we have a gentleman who buys an old, uh, been on the market forever house. And as he's going around looking with the realtor, weird things are happening. And each time it happens, the panel is entirely colored in red. Whether it's a sound or it's a movement that he catches out of the corner of his eye or something like that. But if the realtor notices, she gives no signs. So either she's lying or she doesn't notice and he's the only one that notices, one or the other. After he moves in, there are situations where for several more pages, where in one panel he encounters something and it's all red. Eventually that goes away because he seems to accept what is going on. And the first time something really freaky happens that he just accepts, it's a rundown house, and he has moved from an apartment, so everything is still in boxes and just thrown all over the place. Well, he goes upstairs after moving in to go to bed that evening, and when he comes back down the next day, everything is put up. The house is immaculate, and there is a made cup of coffee sitting on the counter next to the coffee maker waiting for him. And he's like, "Oh, wow, cool." Actually, he says, "What the F?"
Yeah, I was
Is
gonna say,
is actually what he says. Now he
I'm
is
by
a
myself, and all of a sudden everything's done, and
yeah,
here's
cool.
coffee.
Hey,
I'd
I'll
be
take it.
super excited.
He is a ex-married. I don't really know why, but he has 2 children that he co-parents, and so one of the reasons he wanted to move into this house was to have more room for the kids.
Mhm.
And they come over for their next visit, and he introduces them to the house, and he says, "You want to see something cool? Watch this!" And he gives this house commands, and it does things. Let's show my kids a proper welcome, yeah. And the house starts having all of these things whipping and flipping around, and it picks them up and throws them around playfully, and all these other things, and he and the kids start having just a jolly good time in the house. And finally he tells them, do you want to know the secret? And they're like, yeah, yeah, what's the secret? And basically he tells them that the house is full of elves, like the shoemaker and the elves, except the final panel is red. And Chris, if you blow that up, you can see that those don't look like
Those aren't
elves.
elves.
So that's where that story is going to go. Cullen Bunn is quickly, if not already, at the top of my list of creators, and he just keeps coming out with stuff. He is as
Yeah,
prolific as any writer in comics right now.
yeah. He definitely is cranking out some stuff. I follow him on TikTok, and so it seems like every other day he's unboxing, his um comp
Copies,
copies
yeah,
of some book.
cool.
I'm just like, yep, he's just got him rolling in here. All right, so my first book up is we're just gonna keep with the dynamite theme here. Uh, Vampirella Mind Warp #1. This is a book I think you had talked about last episode
I
in
believe so. Yeah,
FOC or upcoming or something like that.
something like that.
Written by Jeff Parker, art by Benjamin Dewey, colorist is Deborah Kelly, letter is Jeff Eckleberry, and editor is Nate Cosby. So this is it's a mini series of some indeterminate length. Um, but
Who did that A cover, Chris?
this is by Joseph Linsner.
Oh,
So
okay.
as you can see from the there's my mouse. You can see from the signature there. So the interesting thing is this is your classic Vampirella get up. In this particular issue, she is covered head to toe, literally, in red and gold, sort of like I don't know if you remember the oh goodness, the manga Vampirella series that they did maybe 10 years ago or whatever. Um,
Vaguely, yeah.
but she's, it's sort of, it gave me that vibe as far as that outfit that she's wearing. So, but definitely, full, you know, you know, like I said, neck down, fully cut, fully clothed, red boots and whatnot. So,
More like a superhero outfit of some
oh,
sort.
well, yeah, it's
Maybe
kind
maybe
of.
a bat army suit
she,
or something
she
like that.
does she does have the Vampirella, logo still down on her
Hmm.
crotch, so that's I guess that's where you
Well,
have to put it.
that's a womb.
That's
It's not
branding.
it's not at the crotch. It's at the
That's
womb.
well true, but This particular issue starts out with a guy watching her, who while she is fighting a werewolf in New Orleans. I think it's New Orleans. And so he's tracking her, and he's talking to somebody on the phone, and he's like, yeah, I found her, and can't believe, she's sitting here fighting this werewolf. And the person on the other end is like, just keep an eye on him, and this and that and everything. And once she gets done with him, you'll only have a few moments to make your move, and this and that and everything. And he's like, I don't think she's going to survive. And the person on the other end is like, you don't know who you're talking about. And he doesn't. He has no clue who Vampirella is. She manages to subdue the werewolf, and in doing so takes him back home to some friends. I'm assuming friends of hers, but this is the man is a respected pastor in the area, and just happens to be a werewolf. And so they're trying to keep his secret from his parishioners until they can figure out who is the one that bit him, and deal with that at some other point. So she ends up leaving and running into the guy who was following her, because he's keeping a tight. Uh, he's a little too close, and so she ends up noticing him and confronts him, and he's got this necklace that he's supposed to put on her. And he basically tricks her, quote unquote tricks her, to putting it on. He's thinking that if he gets her to put it on, that he'll be in control of her. He'll be able to control her mind or whatever. And she lets him know, no, the way this works is whoever puts this on me will control me, and since I put it on me, you have no control over me. And he was like, oh yeah, I didn't realize that. So but
Oh,
this guy's just a regular Joe. I mean, he's
slight
he's
faux
not
pas.
some yeah, he's not a super villain or anything like that. He was hired by someone to put this necklace on her so that he could bring Vampirella to whoever the person is on the other end of the phone. So Vampirella was like, well, someone obviously is trying to get me to come with you, so I'll play along. And so I'll pretend to be under your control and this and that and everything. And so he gets in a car or calls for a car to come and get them. It then takes them to a private airplane, and there's this creepy dude who's on the plane who's like, hey, since you got her under your control, man, we can make some moves. And the guy was not having any of it. He was like, no, that's no. And you can see her sort of smiling because of that. And so they get to a home, and I don't remember if they even said where. They don't say where where it is. But you get to this big house, and she ends up snapping the guy's neck, who was driving the car, but he was the creepy dude in the plane. Snaps his neck, and they walk in, and she's ready to confront whoever it is. But these two like fly-headed people, insect men, answer the door, and she's like, okay, this is weird. And takes they take her and the guy to this old lady who is sitting in this chair. And she explains, in a villainous kind of way, that she is um an old foe of hers from a long time ago. And so Vampirella vaguely remembers her because it was so long ago, and this woman is trying to was trying to get, like, her master had gotten real close to learning, the spells or whatever for immortality, and apparently she is close as well, and decides to use some sort of magic to take over Vampirella's body to live longer, so that she can continue to do whatever she needs to do to figure this stuff out. She figures Vampirella is a vampire, and she's lived hundreds of years, that she'll continue to live longer, than she would. So she begins the spell and everything, and both Vampirella and the guy who brought her there, they fall to the ground. There's some gas that's come out that's supposed to knock them out and everything. And and the woman is, coming to grab Vampirella so that they can have physical contact, and then the mind meld will take place, and Vampirella sort of realizes what's happening, and convinces the messenger guy to grab her hand, and in doing so, something happens, and we're not really, it's not really explained how it happens, but the very last page is Vampirella in her own body, but in 1969, when she quote unquote first appears in
Yes,
comics.
that is
So
Pendragon.
yeah, so there was some illusion um, when the sorceress was, or witch was talking to Vampirella. She was making references to where, there was this one point that you were all over the place, and people, lots of people knew of your legend and stuff like that. And then you were away for a while. Basically, it's sort of in code speaking about her publishing history and stuff like that, which was kind of neat. And then in the last little bit, you've become more of a back again, and people are talking about you and this and that and everything. So um it was, it's a fun issue. It was more sort of humorous, to the fact that that she was on to the guy before he knew what was going on, but he he was trying to get paid because he was just a guy, and but he still wasn't willing to just let her, to just give her up. He was trying to, do right by her, if, in some weird way. Um, the art in this by Benjamin Dewey is really good. It does give some sort of older style vibes to it, which is
Mhm.
really good. The color in it's really strong. Overall, I just think it's just a really good first issue. I think anybody can pick it up, and it's not that none of these things are ever written that you need to know all this history of Vampirella and anything. It's just a lot of them are just sort of like fun, stories and stuff that they put together. So this feels that same way. I'm curious if we're gonna get, Vampirella jumping through her own body through time, which is what I really think it's what's happening. But it's going to be sort of like highlights of her publishing career and stuff like that. Which would, if it's not, fine, but if it is, it'll be kind of neat, if you do know a lot of about her history and stuff. If not, it may just be a fun story to be reading. So, but yeah, it was a good first issue.
I've read the first 50 or 60 or so issues of her Warren book.
Hmm.
I don't remember a Grizel, Gurzel,
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah.
Grizel.
I think she's
So
just one of these one-off. She might not even be like a real character. This is
yeah,
her.
I'm wondering if it. I mean, it's referencing the same time frame that she shows up here in with this. That is the standard vampy
Yeah,
outfit, and
yeah,
this is her semi sober stage magician best
yeah.
friend Pendragon during
Exactly.
that time. And I wonder if
When
the
I flipped the page and saw him, I laughed. I was like,
oh
"Oh,
yeah,
this will be fun."
I wonder if the other dude is in Pendragon like she is in this
Oh,
Vampirella.
I didn't even think about that. That
I
could
wonder if
be
that's
it.
what's happened.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
So because for the stories that I've read, like 98% of the time, she is with him or he shows up in the story. There's very few stories so far from her beginning that are her solo. So
Yeah,
he's almost always with her. So it would be easy that the other dude would be in
yeah,
Pendragon's body
yeah,
because he's almost always with her. So,
yeah.
but like
And
you
that
said, yeah, that'll be interesting to see if they go, 69 and then the next issue at the end of it they jump to one of the Harris books,
yeah,
which was
yeah,
the next volume, or yeah,
yeah.
so that'll be curious to watch.
And that may be just more me wishful thinking. So
Well, but it would be an interesting way to do it. I mean, she's got to make her way back, and so how
right.
better than to jump, now jump forward in
Yeah.
herself to get herself
And
back.
would, well, we'll wait till the next issue. We'll see. We'll see where she goes next, and then I may, if I talk about that particular issue when it comes out, I might make another connection, but I want to wait. I don't want to make too many speculations on it.
Okay, yeah, those Warren magazine stories, man, are just Wow.
Yeah, I need to go back. I've never, well, I'll say never. I've read some of them, but I've never read all of it, and I've always wanted to get those collected editions,
Yeah,
the big
that's
hardcover ones that they put out.
yeah.
But
I don't
those
have the hardcover, but
I'll
yeah,
never get those. But yeah, that would be something that I would. It's on my sort of wish list of books I would like to eventually own.
the writing style and the art are just neither one is what you see now.
Oh yeah,
When you pick up a Kickstarter, and open it up, it's
yeah,
it's very um, it's dated, but it's only dated if you understand what you're looking at. I don't
yeah,
mean it looks old. It yeah. So
yeah.
to me, it's dated because I've read so many books
Oh, exactly.
that the art can kind of help me place roughly
Exactly.
when it
Yeah.
was taking part in. So, all right, my next book is The Scintillating Spider Squirrel #3
But
from
that's a panda.
Well, I'll get there. It is a trash panda.
Oh.
That is his name. He is Trash Panda. Probably the best creation of any of the Kickstarters that I have been reading.
Oh,
Trash Panda
wow.
is my favorite. Um, because he's a for those of you that gameplay or role play, he's a tank. That's all he is.
Oh,
He's a giant
nice.
panda tank. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't even
Um,
see the tail on him until
yeah,
I was like, "Oh, yeah, he is a raccoon."
via Kickstarter, Freestyle Comics via Kickstarter. Now, Spider Squirrel is in my mind very much a patterned after Spider Man, younger, the '60s to maybe early '70s kind of Peter Parker
Mhm.
is Spider Squirrel. And in the first two issues, he's been attacked by. Well, let me step back. Charlie McElvey is the primary creator. This character, both Trash Panda and Spider Squirrel, are his. Now, he has done something in this book that I have been noticing in several of the other Kickstarters, and that is other people's creations from other companies make appearances. So there's
Mm.
starting to be a certain level of cross pollination of characters. Hey, can I borrow, or even better, hey, can you write 2 or 3 pages where my dude and your dude meet up, and then they just go their separate ways. They don't. There's not any kind of conflict, so you have to bitch and whine about who wins and who doesn't and how it makes them look. And what? No, they just come in and then, oh, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm in this world and I'm looking for this character. And then, okay, see ya. And then they go there. But that way, at least because somewhere in whatever issue that takes place, there will be an ad for that character, and it
Mhm.
will tell you the name of the company and his title book and whatever, which I'll bring up here in the back of this one. It occurs. This is a thick issue. This is probably uh, 45 to 50 pages, maybe more than that. So, and I got the B cover. This is the B cover, and I got it signed. You can see up here
I
too.
see that, yeah.
Ha ha ha! And it was free signature. Um, so Spider Squirrel has been finding himself attacked by characters that have reality or dimensional hopping abilities. And so the first couple issues, he got dragged here to this dimension and he got dragged to that reality as he was fighting and as he was running. And just as a consequence of interacting with these particular people, he got shunted around. So that's been happening quite a bit. This issue, he finally sets his feet back down in his reality and he starts fighting a group of bad guys when another group pops up to help him, who is from a separate reality. This group has their own book that will be part of this universe. It's the Xion, I believe is what he calls it, universe. Zion universe, I guess is how you pronounce it.
Okay.
And over the course of this book, there are several characters and teams that show up that his company studios, Xion Studios, that's what I'm
Oh,
thinking
okay. Gotcha.
they're going to be using. A gentleman named Alpha Elite, a group called the Fundamentals, a group called Teen Force 5, and an individual whose Kickstarter is finishing up maybe today, or just finished up today, named Milestone. So that is their extensions of this Zion universe, this very same universe that Spider Squirrel is in. I like those free autographs. Thank you. Yeah, I do too. When you close out the Kickstarter, I'm like, what? I can do it for free. I'll take it. So I really don't care what it is. The reason why Trash Panda is a friend of his, and also a superhero acquaintance of his, and they typically are together when something happens, so they find themselves battling back to back quite frequently. I don't necessarily think that's the idea behind the characters. It's not like a Batman and Robin or anything like
Mhm.
that. They just in Spider Squirrel's first series, anyways, they just seem to run afoul when they're together some way or another, that's uh, part of what adds to the lightness of this whole story is that these things just seem to be happening. There's no good guy, bad guy. There's just a couple dudes just hanging, whatever, and they get caught up in something. A bit of a trash pan. Well, okay, that's I'm not sure how to take that, but we'll roll with it. Um, in this story, there's a side story. Trash Panda gets shunted while he's fighting to a separate dimension, and everybody forgets about that because he is fighting with Spider Squirrel. Spider Squirrel disappears. And so it's this new super group that are fighting these bad guys who cause Trash Panda to disappear. And they don't know enough to know if he's a good guy or a bad guy. They even forget about the fact that he suddenly is not there when they get done fighting. Really, they're only alerted when Spider Squirrel pops back into his reality and is, basically counting heads. And he's like, "Where's Trash Panda?" Well, he gets shunted into another dimension that is the same year, 2022, but it is based on feudal Japan. And so he shows up as this giant panda and is surrounded by samurai with sword drawn and all this. And he gets taken because he is going to be the missing piece to defeating the evil that has come up against this particular daimyo. And he goes and he fights, and in the midst of this fight he faces a feudal Japanese sorcerer, which I forget what their word for a sorcerer is, and he gets shunted back to his home dimension before that battle can actually be finished. So I think that's a plot thread that can be used humorously. Somewhere along the way, somebody that he interacted with there will show up in his dimension and do something. But a lot of this story, this third issue in particular, is using space to introduce both characters by Zion Studios, but other studios as well. There's one that is Chris, do you remember the character from early Marvel, a la early Defenders, called Mad Dog? Does that ring any bells? He was married
No.
to Hellcat before she was Hellcat.
No.
Okay, this character in this book called the Stray, who is the trainer for Teen Force 5,
Okay.
um, reminds me of that Mad Dog character
Oh, okay.
from the early Defenders when Magneto had the evil mutants that had the Shocker and the Lifter and the
Oh, that was a oh, yeah.
remember that group?
Yeah, that's a
Mad
long
Dog
time
was
ago.
around about that same time.
Okay.
Major Butch something maybe or something like that. But there was a character named Mad Dog. He'd been married to Patsy Walker, and they
Mhm.
were estranged when she started hanging with the Defenders. And that only lasted a little while, and then she went over to the Avengers and Beast and became Hellcat and all that, or not? Yeah, Hellcat. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was Hellcat
Mhm.
and all that kind of stuff. The second Hellcat, the first Hellcat retired from Hellcat and became Tigra, not to be confused with the second Hellcat, who was Patsy Walker. Who, yeah. Um, characters from Studios, which they show their 3 books here. One of which I've been reading called the Surgeon.
The
Excuse me,
sturgeon.
not a fish. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And then another group here from Freestyle Comics, which seems to be kind of a teen, uh, maybe like a Young Justice-y kind of group. So they're all in this 3, 6, 8 covers, one of which is a uh, two-sided cover for this particular issue. I just got the B cover because it had my favorite character. It's been a fun ride. Like I said, it's very reminiscent of early Spider-Man. Nothing too serious, nothing too hardcore going on. A lot of introductions in such a way that there's not a whole lot of questions left after. It
Yeah.
basically it explains that they are here to help. They're just another super group in the universe, or
Mhm.
they're a group of bad guys in the same universe. And, so much like early Marvel, they just introduced them and they're like, we'll get back to
Well,
in
yeah.
depth later
We'll,
on.
s- we'll circle back around in a
Yeah, we don't need
couple of
that.
years.
We're creating a universe here. We need
Yeah.
thousands of characters first.
Yeah.
So very fun. And then, like I said, their next book, um, what did I call him? Milestone, I think was his name.
Yeah. Mhm.
Is about to finish up, and then they drop little hints in here about other plans about uh, X number of issues for this character and X number of issues for this group, and all of this through Kickstarter. So if you look up either probably Freestyle Comics or XION Studios, you can see what books they actually have available on the internet,
Yeah.
and probably little hints about what's coming.
Cool. I'll have to check them out. Yeah, because I saw that you had backed Milestone, and
Yeah,
so I was like, "Oh, I wonder what that's about."
yeah,
So,
he briefly shows up in like 2 panels in this one, so there
okay,
is a connection there with that as well.
cool. What's the interior art look like on this one?
Uh, Very much like that cover.
Oh, okay, cool. I
Let me
like
see
I like
here.
that style. Yeah.
I'll where's the yeah. Now it varies because some of these stories, like I said, McElvey is the main writer, but Ariel Medel, Mario Santoro, let's see who else, Christopher Awayan, and Ariel Medel are. Here, this will be a good one.
Oh, nice.
That's the main
Yeah,
story.
that's
Now
that's good. I like that.
the Oriental story has similar, but it is different enough
Yeah,
that
yeah, but
it's got.
still, yeah, I like the style.
Yeah, it's a very clear, uh, nay cartoony. Here's one of the other characters. This is Stray Dog. Um,
Oh, I've seen him before. Yeah,
um, it- uh, I think it would be considered cartoony, although in my mind, cartoony has a different kind of connotation.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but it's very open,
yeah,
not hyper detailed, almost a fun Saturday morning adventure
yeah,
kind of art style.
yeah, definitely. All right. Well, I hate to totally change subject matter, but my book is 10,000. Well, it's the Bone Orchard Mythos,
Um,
10,000 Black Feathers. Oh,
Hyper, yeah.
yes,
I
he
think
was. Yeah.
Stray first came out with Action Lab, and then the dude with all the uproar at Action Lab pulled it back, and I believe he's been releasing everything through Kickstarter since
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. That's where I've seen it before then.
Hmm.
Because I knew
Hmm.
I'd seen it before. So this particular book is written by uh, Jeff Lemire. Uh, really, it's created by both Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrento, uh, and then colors by David Stewart and letters by Steve Wan, and then editors Greg Lockhart. So, what Bone Orchard Mythos is, and I'm just learning about it, so I don't know a ton about it, but it is a series of projects that Lemire and Sorrentino are going to be putting together. They've already done one, which was called Everything's going to be under the Bone Orchard Mythos, but they released I guess, a hardcover called Passageway. And so all of these Bone Orchard books, some will be graphic novels, some will be, mini series or series or something to that effect, but they're all connected somehow. So now that I know that, after reading this first issue and then doing a little reading on it, I might finish reading this particular series and then decide whether or not I want to go back and get Passageway and see how that's linked.
There's
So
also a Shadow Eater Free Comic Book Day book
Ye
from
yeah, and
this
I
year, it looks like.
may or may not actually have that. I don't know, because I saw that while we were talking, and I was like, "Oh crap, I might have that," and I have a big old stack of free comic book.
Okay.
It's
Right.
just the way Ultimate did it. It was you come in and they just give you a bag. They have an adult bag and a kid's bag, and they just gave me the adult bag, and I don't know it's still not entirely sure what all's in that one.
Okay.
Uh, I did pick up all my Spider-Man and all that stuff. but so so this particular issue, so Soren, well, it's it's a present day and a flashback story. So we're introduced to these two girls who are younger. Both are into what they figure are odd and strange things that their friends don't really get into, or kids their age, and then they basically connect with one another. One of the girls is a would be writer. Both of them like D&D and horror and stuff like that. But they both, and you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but both don't look like the kids you would imagine were into those kind of things. And so it's kind of a neat thing. And then and that is and then we flash forward with a to the present, and a lot of stuff has happened. It looks like I should have written down her name because it kind of but there's the one girl who's the writer. She grows up, writes a bunch of novels, kind of gets a name for herself, but is sort of doubting herself again. Her sales have started to slump. She sort of lost that confidence, and so she goes back to her hometown, which is where she met this other her friend, but way back when they were kids, and goes to her friend's mom's house. And
Trish
yes,
is the
and
writer girl, and Terry is her friend.
yes, Terry. And
Okay.
so it goes back to Terry's mom's house. And apparently Terry is gone. I'm assuming she's dead. They give you some allusion to that something happened to her, but they don't specifically say that she's dead. So I'm making that assumption so far. But she's not at the house. She's, and her mother speaks about her in past tense. But Trish goes there sort of to, you know, recenter herself. And, so her mom's, Terry's mom's very happy to see her, has her come in, they talk and all this other stuff. And she kind of, Trish sort of opens up and, kind of tells her everything, that, things are, uh, not doing as well as they once were, and this and that and everything. But at the same time, Trish is also having sort of these hearing these voices and seeing these flashes of imagery and of darkness and all this other stuff. And I don't know if it's flashbacks of the past, because this issue sort of goes back and forth, but from the present day to the past, sort of how Trish meets Terry's mom, and sort of how they kind of get together, and they make this pact, the two of them, that they're going to be, because Trish was already starting at that young age, was already starting to sort of dabble in writing a book or some kind of story. And so Terry kind of wants in on it, to sort of be a part of this thing that she's doing. And so they, pinky swear, that they won't tell anybody that they're working on this thing together until they're done. And so that's kind of how the issue ends. Um, Again, it's still not 100% sure what's going on as far as what Trish is seeing, but it's definitely dark and brooding. And um, uh, so I don't know if she's fever dreaming. This is why she's asleep, those kind of things. So I'm sure we'll learn a little more of that as we go along. But it is, I haven't read, I mean, it's definitely a horror book, but at the same time, it's not sort of, it doesn't feel like it's a jump scare kind of horror thing. It's definitely very heavy handed as far as like the doom and gloom of it all. But at the same time, it's, I don't know, there's a balance to it that I don't feel like I'm being sort of like, this is horror, you should be afraid, that kind of thing. And so it kind of, I don't know, I kind of got to the end of it and I was kind of like, I guess that was okay. And then I read it again and I was like, okay, I kind of dig what I read now. The art style from what is present day is very, it's still Sorrentino's art, but Dave Stewart sort of colors it. It almost looks like present day, almost looks like Jay Lee art.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah. And the present or in the past, it kind of looks
Uh,
like Jeff Darrow.
so it does that does not look like the same artist.
No, it's completely different, but
Yeah,
it's
I
the
mean,
same artist.
completely different. Yeah, that's what I went back to look. I'm like, wait a minute, did Sorrentino do all of it?
Yeah,
But
yeah, and that's I think part of
man, those
what took
past
me in and
segments.
out of the book so much is that I was kind of like it was and it needed to be jarring. I mean, that was sort of the entire intent of it. But it was one of those things I think after I sort of kind of did that, I have issues with books that do a lot of flashbacks and forward and back and everything like that.
I hate time jumps.
But I get why. I think this is going to be one of those things. Obviously, it's going to be a mini series of some length. I think it's sort of written, to be read as a collection, and so you can kind of get the back and forth, and it's setting scenes is really all it is. It's setting the story of what's to come,
Yep.
and so I get that. So in that regard, it's a pretty good setup issue to get you introduced to these two girls and sort of what their life or lives were or currently are like in just one issue. But you know we'll see. I'm curious enough to try the next issue to see if I like it, and that's why I said I don't want to jump into getting like the Passageway hardcover because apparently this is a lot of projects that Lemire and Sorrentino want to do together. And so they've already done previous work together. And so this is just more of it. But this is, the Bone Orchard stuff is just more connected universe. And so I'm kind of curious on, Lemire can do some creepy horror stuff. I mean, he's known for that. But I'm kind of curious to see how he builds, I guess, a universe of stories around that. I'm assuming it's all gonna be, maybe it's sort of like Stephen King that it's not exactly in the same universe, but it is at the same time. So, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, after the second read through, I enjoy this a lot more than I did the first time. So I'm definitely gonna check out the second issue and kind of go from there. So
What is that thing at the end, man?
the thing at the end.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
you mean with with her something reaching out to her or whatever?
yeah, it has,
Yeah.
multiple looks like multiple arms, maybe?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's a
Um,
rather whether it's intended to be or not, it has a rather, Kabbalistic look to it there
well,
when
and that's the thing. It's like I'm not sure if
it appears.
what this is, if it's the so obviously there's part of the story that we're missing. And I think we'll get it as this thing moves along.
Right, yeah, yeah.
But I do think that there is something that the two girls came across
Did or
or did
made or whatever.
some pact with the devil or some demon or something like that, maybe, that is sort of okay, you can be famous, and because kids do, well, kids stumble across stupid magic all the time and create dumb, deals with the devil, and this may be what
Yeah,
happened. Happens all the time. So, so that might be what we get, but yeah, that thing is super creepy looking.
yeah, that is. That's just,
And
yeah,
but
weird
it's
looking
the
thing.
detail on it too. That's why I was like,
Yeah.
it's such a striking, and if again, it sort of took me in and out a lot more than I wanted it to, but the second read through, it sort of played all very well with one another. I don't know what my deal was the first time I read through it, but either way, it was just, I enjoyed it, and I'm wanting to see more in those kind of shots, like the one where the image where I'm assuming it's Terry that's sort of floating in the middle of
Floating
the
in the
sky.
air. Yeah.
And again, it's like, what is
Did,
imagery? What
right.
is
Did
dream?
she
What is
really
reality?
see that? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's next issue or two might actually explain a little more of that. But again, I'm curious about a Jeff Lemire written horror universe, to read for the next couple of years. That sounds fun. I just kind of need to get into it. And maybe by the time I get to the end of this series, I'll be in it enough that I'm just chomping at the bits for more. So
Oh,
we shall see.
I just saw here Hyper Potato said the first Hellcat was my ex-wife. Hey yo.
Oh, I totally missed
Okay. Yeah, I did too until
that.
just now. Hyper's on the stage, warming everybody up there.
Yeah, that's what we
Fluff,
like.
fluffing the crowd, as it
That's what we
were.
appreciate. The fluff in the crowd.
Uh, am I allowed to say that? Well, anyway.
Sure.
So my final book here is
Is Panda Con? No, sorry.
a Distant Soil, issue number 6 from Warp Graphics.
Was this a
Uh,
new book that just came out?
no,
Oh, sorry.
this is dated. That's what I'm looking here for. 1980. Where is it?
That was a
1985.
long time ago.
Yes, it was. That's right in my wheelhouse.
Yep.
Um, Monica Sharp and Dave Garcia. Um, I believe Dave Garcia currently owns the rights to PandaCon because he is attempting to bring it back. Um, he has a PandaCon Facebook page, and I believe on his own Facebook page, he will write about PandaCon. That's
Cool.
what originally got me interested in it. I knew that the character existed, but the first PandaCon is the backup. And this particular issue of A Distant Soil is the first appearance of PandaCon. So this is where his story started. However, the first part of this book, did you get this from my comic shop recently? I got a want list notification, but someone had beaten me to the book. Well, I can neither confirm nor deny
Fast on the trigger.
that I use my comic shop's notification. Although if I did, I would have grabbed this when it showed up. Yes, because I needed it to complete both my Distant Soil initial run and my PandaCon. But Colleen Doran, A Distant Soil, very famous
Oh yeah.
indie creation, beautiful art, very romantic, love story-ish, sci-fi kind of kind of sorry guys, kind of story here, but that is not the story for this outing because this is issue 6, so there would be a lot of backstory I would have to catch you up on, which I know now that I have read this issue. But PandaCon, that is what we are here for. This
Oh,
is this is Mr. Garcia's art.
it's so birdie.
It's very pretty. Um, so this is where the story of PandaCon starts. At an immortals retreat, basically the pandas run from the black bear, the clans, the white panda bear clan. Actually, the panda bear clan runs from both the black bear and white bear clans, and sets up a home of their own in the mountains. They then live there peacefully long enough to set up a stronghold and become high in numbers, the pandas. The ruler that is chosen is referred to as the Khan. Um, much like the Mongols, only they kind of roamed around, but these guys live in a big mountain fortress. And this is the story about one particular panda Khan, and his name escapes me, but it is in here somewhere. Sorry, but each of the pandas has their own name, but they also have a name as their title, the part they play in the panda world. You might also recognize Panda Khan from Ninja Turtles.
Hmm.
I believe in the one of the animated series they ran into a Panda Khan, and so unfortunately, much like Usagi Yojimbo, no Ninja Turtle fans, that is not where these characters came from. Okay, just so you know, let's squelch that. Usagi had his own book well before any appearance in any Ninja Turtles cartoon. Okay, and you do him much diss by thinking that, oh, well, that's what. No, that's not where he's from. Quit. Pandacon actually turns out to be the same thing. He has been around for about as long as the Turtles. 1985. Um, was that the turtle? The Turtles were what, Chris? 82, 83,
Oh
maybe
gosh.
something like that, or
Yeah,
more along the 85, 86
4,
time.
yeah, I wanna say around the 85
Okay.
sounds about right.
So Pandacon, Usagi, and the Turtles have all been around about the same time. Just so happens that the creators know each other. That's why there's the cross pollination. But this is the story about a particular Pandacon who sets the most recent group of, um, is the word aspirants, or those who train to be. And what happens is after they complete their training to become members of the Panda military, they then do the out service. Who does that? The Mormon Church? Is that who does that? When you go to college, then after college, you have to serve a time in the
Oh, yeah.
field
Yeah, that's
before
Mormons.
you
Mhm.
finish your training. In essence, the pandas are like that. All of the younglings get to choose where they go and what they want to find out, what they want to bring back as far as substance or knowledge, both to their panda community. Well, this particular PandaCon, there is an unfortunate dark issue in the background that is occurring that is severe enough that most of the adults want to not send out this year's group of trainees because they're afraid that something will happen to them because of this great darkness, and um, they will lose members of future populations because these trainees go out on their own, and so they're just responsible for everything as far as themselves, protection and housing and food and all of that stuff. And then at the end of a year, they come back, so they're afraid that they're going to go out and they won't come back. And so there's a lot of our young people, taken from us, a whole generation, let's say. We do see the great evil. It is a Japanese oni looking kind of wizard, and he is named Panku. And so he is whipping up some darkness at the end of this story. The darkness to attack the panda peoples is a group of undead. You know what? Why does everybody go zombie?
I don't know. It
But
seems to be
yeah,
easy though.
I get. Well, he does raise them out of the mud, so I guess that's. But short story, about 6, 7 issues. Um, good stuff. Just very, very mid '80s black and white kind of fantasy furry
Oh
story,
yeah, for sure.
or anthropomorphic, if you want to use those $20 words. Um, which a distant soil is not. It is people. So it is human beings, and PandaCon is the anthropomorphized
Yeah.
animals, except for the wizard. Now the wizard, the evil wizard, he looks kind of like a human being too, just with some um yeah there's a style of Japanese artistry that paints their face in a particular way.
Hmm.
And the word isn't coming to me, but that's what he's decorated up as. And I'm sure if it had been in color, the face paint would have been in very bright colors, kind of like the white and green that the Joker originally was, that real stark, heavy, saturated colors.
Hmm.
That's the way these uh, particular actors, when they portray Oni, which are Japanese ghosts and demons, decorate their face almost like uh, De La Muerta style
Oh,
for the
okay, yeah.
Mexicans. Only
Hmm.
it's it's different in that it's flowy and round, and it's meant more to be just kind of a boo when somebody jumps out, rather
Right.
than this evil, craggly looking thing like the De La Muerte, or the sugar skull for the De La Muerte celebration. But
Yeah.
same kind of concept. They represent demons and dark and ghosts and all that stuff. So good stuff. I'm glad I finally read it. I read the other uh, segments of the story in A Distant Soil. There's like seven or eight.
Hmm.
And I had read all of them, but the first
But the
ever.
first
So
one, yeah.
yeah, because this issue is a little difficult to come by because it's the first installment of PandaCon. So
Yeah.
it took me. It was probably on my want list at Lone Star for about a year
Oh
before I
wow.
even got a notice that there was one. So
It's nice to see a Warp Graphics published book.
uh, and do you know? Until recently, I didn't know what Warp stood for. I never
Really?
paid. I never paid attention.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
I was part of their newsletter a long, long time. Back when you got newsletters in the mail. So,
mm, cool bean. Yeah, you
but
you started with Marvel Elf Quest. You talk about a
yeah,
lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But went back and bought up all the original stuff and whatnot. Yeah. So good times. Big fan of the Warp. So, all right. My last book is, and I didn't talk about issue 2 of this, but is Above Snakes number
May,
3. It's another image book.
may I cut in here?
Oh, sure.
Warp stands for Wendy and Richard Peeney.
Oh, yeah. See that.
And
Hyper curious.
when you see it written, it's capital WRP lowercase a.
Yep.
So it automatically you see something's off. But yeah, that's the names of the creators of ElfQuest, um, which was Warp Studios. For those of you that don't know Hyper, I'm not assuming that you don't. But Warp Studios was the homegrown place that the Peonies decided that they were going to publish ElfQuest,
Yep.
because the initial publication that they had, which was fantasy illustrated
Hmm.
by somebody, Fantagram. No, wasn't anybody big, was it? It was somebody, but they weren't happy with the production, and so after just one issue, they're like, Nope, we can do it
Yeah.
better." So they just brought it in house, and after a little while, they started producing some other things. A Distant Soil might have been the first non-ElfQuest book that they started publishing. There were a couple others in Warp Graphics, and then over time they left, or they spun them off to where for Warp, for the longest time, the only thing they put out was ElfQuest stuff,
Yep. Yep.
and they maintained the ownership of the name Warp Graphics. So any ElfQuest, well, that's not been licensed out, um, comes out from Warp Graphics,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah, they used
the
to have a big
Peony stuff.
deal with Dark Horse. That was their
Dark
and
Horse,
even DC, they had stuff they had something at DC that was
DC,
publishing.
Marvel. I mean,
Yeah.
they did those many things at
Yeah, the
Marvel.
reprints and everything, yeah.
They did a hardcover, right, of some one-offs from DC, I think.
Well, they were actually publishing there was the plan that they were gonna publish a new ElfQuest miniseries or something through them, so they ended up doing, and I think it was through. It wasn't DC proper. It was like one of their imprints or something like that.
Piranha
But
Press or one of
yeah,
those.
something like that. But they were, yeah, I think they ended up doing like a graphic novel or something.
Okay.
Um, actually, I have a obviously have a copy of it. Actually, I have my original review copy of it that I got sent.
Oh,
So,
nice.
so that one has always stayed with me. But I've actually got the real copy of it too that you could buy at the store. So yeah,
Just for anybody that is interested in ElfQuest, everything except the most recent stuff is available to read free on their
yeah,
website. Everything.
yep. Go to
Miniseries,
elfquest.com.
fan
Yep.
stuff, any of the uh, Moot Meat, which I know that's the fan publication for The Hobbit, but their equivalent for ElfQuest, it's on there. I mean, everything that has been published that they have control of is on their website for free, except like I say, the most recent I think two series. This one that just came out, was it Stargazer something?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the one which was the final story arc that had Cutter in it.
Yeah. But good stuff. I've got the gosh, I have so much Health Quest stuff, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I've got the big oversized
Yes. The
you know,
the original stuff.
artist edition.
Oh, okay.
Like like IDW publishes, the
Right.
big treasury or edition thing, but Dark Horse had published it. Yeah, and it's like the first it's like the first issue or two or three or
Oh,
something like that. It's
nice.
kind of like the pen and ink, but it's photocopies of Wendy's original pages. So you get to see, and they're done really, really well because there's texture to it. And so you can see where she whited out stuff and where you can see her pencils as far as like notes and stuff like that in the gutters and everything. And I still have it in the original packaging that it got
Oh,
shipped
cool.
in.
Okay.
So because I don't want anything to happen to that book,
Right.
but I do break it out every so often, maybe a couple times a year, just to look through it and everything. It's
And
just so good.
I do have to say for the record, I believe I was set up. I think Hyper knew what it stood for, but if you see a second comment there, I was kind of set
Oh
up.
yeah,
So
if I could have got the issue, I might remember.
yeah, so there
Ah!
there yeah, there we go.
Yeah, but I could go on forever about
Oh,
the
ElfQuest is yeah,
history of ElfQuest, and it just me being into, like, I used to read the novels, like, because they put out the novels of the Tales of Ten Chiefs, and
right.
so I mean, I got all that backstory, and it's just so good stuff. I grew up on that stuff. There's yeah. Anyway, so last book, Above Snakes, number 3. Didn't talk about issue 2 for some reason. I don't know why,
No.
but I really wanted to bring this particular book up for just a couple of reasons.
More feather reference here
There
in the
is, yeah, the
the
title of it's
title
Birds
of
of a
the
Feather.
chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's written by Sean Lewis, art by Hayden Sherman, letter by Hassan Astami. I never can pronounce his full last name.
Hello.
Elahu,
Hello.
Elahu,
Hello. Yeah, I'm
Hal,
not sure. I
but
apologize,
I
Mr.
know
Letterer,
who
if
he
you're listening.
is, and he does good work. I
Yeah.
see his name quite often. Um, so uh, this series, our protagonist is Dirt. He is in essence, a cowboy. His family was murdered and by these men, and so this is a revenge story. Uh, Sort of as his journey began, he I guess inherited a spirit animal, which is this yellow ghost vulture, who talks to him, who he has long conversations with, and that's pretty much what this issue is a long conversation with this vulture, and it's just it's this is a pretty violent book. In this particular issue is that sort of, I hate to say, quiet moment in between everything, but it is. But it's filled with just the annoyance of the vulture. And that's sort of the whole point, to give you sort of Dirt's perspective of what this what he has to live with now. Um and what he discovers in during this conversation is that well, first off, the his vulture wants to get laid. The whole conversation. And he brings up the fact that vultures, when they mate, they mate for life. And so Dirt's thought is, well, if I can just get this guy to mate, he'll leave me alone and I can move on with my revenge story. And so he decides, okay, I'm gonna help him out. So anyway, the vulture takes him to this cave, which he thinks is where another vulture is. He does this whole little dance, and he goes into the cave to find his mate, and mayhem ensues because he is then chased out of the cave by a giant, like blue purple, like horned owl that is like the size, it's like 7 feet tall. It's a huge thing. So, but it looks like him. So it's another person's sort of spirit animal. And I'm using that loosely because it's not, I can't remember exactly what they call it, or if they've even called it anything at this point. But it is this other guy comes up and starts attacking Dirt, thinking that Dirt is helping the vulture attack his spirit animal. And so there's a little bit of action as far as a misunderstanding fist fight. And this, once everything sort of calms down, the guy introduces himself as Comanche, and he too is on a revenge mission as well, uh, to the same people that Dirt is, because they killed his family as well. And the only way, and he explains to Dirt, the only way you're going to get rid of your bird is to have your revenge. And he said, but I can't allow you to have your revenge because then you would take that from me. And so that's kind of how it's left between the two of them. They just sort of go their own ways. And so so you're kind of like, well, did he just threaten him, or is he just saying you need to just turn around and go back home? Either way, Dirt is stubborn, so he's like, yeah, we're still gonna go after him. Um, and then we get sort of a one pager at the end that's like, don't worry, everything's gonna pick back up in the next issue, sort of fourth wall breaking. Everything will pick back up in next issue as far as the action and everything, because these guys are gonna run into us and blah 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 and all this other stuff. But it was a pretty unexpected, humorous issue that I didn't. I mean, the series itself is not super serious. It is a revenge story, um, but Dirt is sort of, he's very sarcastic, and so there is that kind of humor in this. But this particular issue was sort of the next level of that, as far as the humor in it. And so it sort of took me by surprise that we were getting that this early in the series. I don't know how long the series will go, so it could be just 6 or 7 issues. But either way, it was just a really good issue. Um, Hayden Sherman's art continues to be a very unique style that I have enjoyed over a number of his projects. And so he's the one that sort of brought me to this particular series. But then Sean Lewis's writing has been a lot of fun so far. So this is definitely a book. If you've not been checking it out, I do recommend checking this bad boy out. So now, Hyper mentions, he says the peonies should be better known than they are, if for no other reason than the famous Red Sonja cosplay. Yes, yeah, that is a thing. Because back when cosplay wasn't really a big thing, Wendy Penny was the one that was constantly dressing up at cons as Red Sonja.
She
So,
may well be really one of the first, same character, multiple
yeah,
convention kind of cosplaying people, even big enough to make nighttime talk
Yep.
shows and all this other kind of stuff. Her and here's a name, for those of you that are not young, Frank Thorne as the
Yeah.
wizard, uh,
Exactly.
was often accompanying her. They
Yep.
made the same conventions and appearances, and so,
Yep.
and she did a very credible, Red Sonja
Oh, for
also.
sure.
So,
Yep. I learned all about that later on. So,
well, and I would venture to say that there has to be references to both of these people, Peony and, Frank Thorne, in that new San Diego Comic-Con book that just came out
oh,
that
I would hope so. Yeah.
talks about the origins and talks about some of the first peoples and things like that because, they were a big draw for a lot of those
Yeah.
early conventions like
Need to
that.
go back and re-listen to some of that or finish listening to that podcast that was talking about the early days of San
The
Diego.
the dude that did that podcast did this book.
That's what made me think of it. Was it the
Yeah,
same guy?
so
So yeah,
yeah,
that'll.
yeah.
I would hope so that
I've got
that
one
they're
coming from
included.
Amazon whenever it gets here.
Very nice. You have to let me know. Let me know if it's any good.
It if it's supposed to be a bunch of basically, written vignettes,
Okay.
so being able to hear these things from these people's in their own voice,
Yeah.
I think that by itself will make it interesting. For me, for no other fact than just it is a chance to get their memories down on paper so that
Hmm.
they don't disappear, you know?
Exactly.
But Hyper, you're absolutely right. The Peonies, are in this group right now of creators that it seems that those of us that are older know of them, but
Hmm.
they just can't break through the new hotness bubble that a lot
Yeah.
of younger people seem to look for. And
Yep.
there's a lot of people like that. Howard Chaykin, or
Hmm.
here's one that just blew my mind with his new thing, Lee Bermejo.
Oh yeah.
That he is one of the oldest fine art artists that
Mhm.
comes to my mind, and he just now is having a book come out, probably something brand new from him for the first time in as long as I can remember.
I'm curious, is the Joker, that hardcover that he did, was that the last, like, big thing that he did?
It may well be,
I'd have to
yeah.
look that up, but I've got a copy of that. I was blown away by that book, so, yeah, when he announced his new book from Boom coming out in was it January or December?
January or I think
Hmm,
it's January. I don't think it's December, but
okay, but either way,
but
whenever it
yeah,
comes out,
like
I
what?
mean, it's only
Lee Bermejo.
it's only 3 issues, but I'm like, "Yeah, just give it to me.
What
I'm
a
good."
dude's got to be like 90 now.
Yeah. I mean, but it's gonna be awesome.
Let's
I
see.
I wouldn't know what to do if it wasn't. That's the thing. It's like his stuff has always been great.
Oh no, he's only 44.
Oh, no, he's gotta be older than that. I coulda I coulda sworn he's younger than me. He's younger than both of us. I thought he was older than both of us.
Um, the Joker graphic novel, Luther, Man of Steel,
Yeah.
before Watchmen, Rorschach, may have been his most recent
Oh,
thing.
okay. Wow, but still,
I thought
that's
he's
been a
been around
while.
a lot longer than that.
Mm-mm. I guess not.
Wow.
I was under the same
Okay,
impression.
dude.
Just
Okay.
feels maybe it just feels like he is.
Yeah, it feels. I guess because it's not. He's so good, but he's not like everywhere.
Right, and like you said,
So
he's a very sort of fine arts kinda guy too, so he's got that very classic style.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
very
yeah.
I would say he's very arty, you know,
Yeah. He's very arty, but
he's
yeah.
not comic book art, he's definitely what you said, fine arts, so, but yeah. But good stuff. Well, one of these days, we'll actually remember, you know, how old everyone actually is, yeah.
Oh, yeah, forget it. That's it.
There
You
there
know,
you go.
he's been around as long as the Peonies in my mind, and it's like,
Yeah,
nope, maybe half.
yeah.
So, okay,
Hyper, you can't trust
I'm not.
ages on the internet. It says I'm old. That can't be right. Oh, we're
I
all old.
disagree. If it is on the internet, you absolutely can trust it.
It's
That's,
fact. It's law.
yes, especially if it shows up in Wikipedia. It's a given. It's one of the constants of the universe. Then, so
Oh, Wikipedia, where were you when I was doing research papers in college?
mhm.
It was bulletin boards back then.
Cliff notes for the internet.
Yeah.
That's what Wikipedia is.
Yeah. All right. So before we get out of here, anything else?
I don't think so. Let's see. We gave away our book finally.
Yep.
No, I think that's it.
Cool. So, Mike, if you don't get your book in the next month or two, you know
Shit.
where to find Ed.
I'll do my darndest to get it out tomorrow.
Oh, I'm pretty bad about that stuff. Like, if you buy something from me on eBay, I'm really good at getting it to you. Other than that, it's or if you're Ed who decides to buy like short boxes full of comics from me at a time.
Hey, I'm doing the best I can to help a brother out, man. That's what
Oh,
What
definitely.
what can I say?
I've got 12 long boxes. Do you just want them?
No,
It's-
no,
I wonder
I
what the
have
shipping
nowhere to
cost on
put
that
that much
is.
stuff. Yeah, really. Nowadays, it'd probably be more than the weight of the boxes.
Probably. All right. So you can come by the website, comicaddiction.net. You can check us out or you can email us at comicaddiction podcast at gmail.com. That's right. I had to think about it for a second. I hadn't said it in a while.
It's written right here.
I know. Well, I don't have my show notes. I maximized my
Oh.
screen. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I do need to pull that up. Come out of the forums at justanotherfanboy at .freeforums.net. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at Comic Addiction. You can follow Ed at Teal Productions. You can follow me at Chris Parton. You can come by our Facebook. There's one for Comic Addiction and there's one for Boom Studios because we still have the fans of Boom Studios. Ed is still populating that on Facebook, and I'm still talking about Boom on Twitter. So that is a thing. So we love us some Boom Studios. So I will say this: I am having technical issues as far as getting the podcast, the audio podcast published. I am working on that, so I'm an episode behind. 146 is up, but 147 is still not up, so I apologize for that for those of you who are hearing this way in the future, hopefully not too far. I am working on getting the means to do that, to getting that edited and everything. So just keep up with us on Twitter and you will know when that gets published there. Or if you're subscribed to us on any of the podcast catchers, you're going to see that there. So it is coming. Just please be patient. And as always, you can just check us out here on YouTube. You can listen to us or watch us. I tend to listen to a lot of podcasts or a lot of YouTube stuff. Just sort of I put my headset in my phone and put my phone over here while I'm working, and that's how I do it most of the time. So, but we will get that up in the near future. So I apologize for the wait on that. So, but other than that, that's it. Everybody, thank y'all for listening, for watching us. Everybody who was in the chat tonight, thank you. Thank you, Nick, for showing up, even though I called you Joe. But Joe, you should check out Joe and Ben's podcast, Wildstorm Addiction. You can thanks Martin and Mike and Doug for showing up, and Terry and Hyper coming in at the end. All of that good stuff. So I appreciate all of you guys for listening to us. Everybody who comes by the show while we're doing it live, not commenting. Glad you were able to hang out with us. Those of you who are listening and watching after the fact, thank you as well. Other than that, Ed, thank you as always for joining me.
Yes, sir.
And we will do this again next week with episode 149. We're getting closer to that big old milestone of 150, and then we'll just do a regular episode there. But we will see all of you then. So goodbye.
Ciao.
Yeah, Hyper's right. Like and subscribe on YouTube. All right, everybody. We will catch all of you later. Again, thank you all for joining us. For those, Hyper, Chris likes Boom. Yeah, apparently I like it a little bit. So, Martin, thanks for hanging out with us this long. I didn't realize you were still hanging out with us. I thought you heard your previews and you bolted. You were like, okay, no, I got to go to DCBS and I got to do my order. So
Lone
help
Star
say
Comics.
our Lone Star, whoever you're doing yours to, yeah, help saving the comic industry along with Mike Myers. So, but I'm gonna end the broadcast now. But again, thanks all of y'all, and we will catch y'all next time.
Bye, guys.